Why G5 won't make you sick. With G5 wireless network construction happening at an accelerated pace, and early G5 wireless broadband internet services already available in a few markets around the U.S., 2019 is the year when consumers will see the first G5 smartphones available in the market. Even just the last month has been exciting, with Verizon and Samsung announcing that they will release a Gram 5 smartphone in the first half of this year. While any consumer can buy these new G5 smartphones, only those that live in areas where the G5 network has been constructed will benefit from the incredible performance of these new networks. Not surprisingly, we've been receiving a lot of questions about whether or not G5 wireless technology is safe for consumers. It's important for us to ask these questions, and also to understand the facts behind the research. Mobile phones emit radio frequency radiation, or radio waves, which are a form of non-ionizing radiation. This kind of radiation is normal and all around us. Non-ionizing radiation only has enough energy to excite a molecule, and the byproduct is merely heat. Ionizing radiation, by contrast, is higher frequency and can be a severe health hazard. It can cause radiation sickness, burns, cancer, and even genetic damage. Ionizing radiation is the kind of radiation we find in using nuclear power. It is important to be clear that G5 wireless technology is a form of non-ionizing radiation. And for that matter, so is the current G4 wireless technology and every other generation prior to that. Since radio frequencies, RF, have been used in radio, TV, wireless networks, and many other services for decades, this is a careful area of study for regulatory agencies to ensure that these RF waves have no negative impact on consumers' health. To be very clear, there has been no conclusive evidence that RF wireless technology causes any side effects in consumers that use, or even those in the presence of, wireless networks. A recent study in Denmark, published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, analyzed the records of more than 358,000 mobile phone subscribers with brain tumor incidence data from the Danish Cancer Registry. The analysis found no association between cell phone use and the incidence of glioma, meningioma, or acoustic neuroma, even among people who had been cell phone subscribers for 13 or more years. Last year, there was some very bad reporting concerning a recent study on the effects of high exposure of radio frequency energy on rats. It found that male rats exposed to radio waves developed schwannomas, small tumors, on their hearts at statistically higher rates than the control group. However, mice and female rats exposed to the same radio waves did not develop any of these small tumors. Somewhat ironically, those animals that were exposed to the radio frequency radiation actually lived longer than the control animals that weren't. Also worth mentioning is that there have only been a handful of documented cases in humans of schwannomas of the heart. They are incredibly rare in humans. This study was conducted by the National Toxicology Program, NTP, which is part of the National Institutes of Health, NIH. Worth noting is that the study was performed at the request of the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, which is responsible for determining the safety of such radio frequency energy. Left out of the negative reporting on this research was the fact that the study used levels of radio frequency energy that were considerably above what the FDA deems as the current safety limit for cell phones. And the current safety limits have a 50-fold safety margin to ensure consumer safety. In the words of the FDA, the levels and duration of exposure to radio frequency radiation were much greater than what people experience with even the highest level of cell phone use, and exposed the rodents' whole bodies. So, these findings should not be directly extrapolated to human cell phone. The FDA summarized that we have not found sufficient evidence that there are adverse health effects in humans caused by exposures at or under the current radio frequency energy exposure limits. In support of the FDA's position, the National Cancer Institute notes that it does not see increasing numbers of brain tumors in the general population. Given that humans have been exposed to radio frequency energy for decades, if there was a direct correlation to our health, we should have seen the impact already. So far, we have not. For obvious reasons, I'll be tracking this topic closely as G5 wireless networks become more widespread. My readers know well that G5 wireless networks use as much as 5 times more cell phone towers than G4, and more power, in order to deliver 100x or more speed to smartphones. It's important to note that all G5-enabled smartphones will still meet the safety limits and standards set by the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, which is informed by the FDA. The above research should dispel any concerns you might have about G5's impact on your health. But if you're still worried about it, I'll leave you with a couple extra steps you can take to minimize your RF exposure. First, use a landline phone whenever possible and try to avoid long conversations on mobile phones. Second, and more importantly, when you do have long conversations on mobile phones, I strongly recommend using some kind of headset, wired or wireless, that allows you to talk without having the mobile phone right next to your head. For those who have any health concerns at all with mobile phones, this is a simple step of precaution that anyone can take. With that, we're in for an incredible year as G5 wireless technology becomes available throughout the US and in other major developed markets around the world. Within the next 12 months, we're going to see such incredible improvement in wireless service, we'll wonder how we ever survived without it.